As you can see from my background, it's time for Wayside School is falling down. I have a couple of my favorite chapters behind me. I have down in the corner, I have Mrs. Gorf, who turned students into apples. Top corner, I have Paul pulling pigtails. Got cut off though. And then over to my other side over here, Sammy, which is my all-time favorite chapter, which a lot of people don't like, but I just think it's hilarious that he wears like layers and layers of raincoats. And then as they keep taking them off, he gets smellier and smellier and smellier. And they keep throwing them out the window because they smell so bad. And when they get down to the last little raincoat, they take it off, and Sammy's a dead rat. I don't know if you guys remember that chapter from the other book, but one of my favorites. So today we're on chapter 24, and we'll read that, and then we'll read chapter 25. Remember, there's only 30 chapters, so we should be able to finish it up this week. This chapter is called Another Story About Potatoes. And if you look at the potato on the plate, we can make a prediction about what's going to happen. All right. Get my glasses. Can't forget those, or else I will lose track of where I am and, make mistakes. Another story about potatoes. Joe was next in line. He had forgotten his lunch. "And what would you like, Joe?" asked Miss Mush. "What do you have?" Joe asked. "Potato salad," said Miss Mush. "Anything else?" asked Joe. "No, just potato salad," said Miss Mush. Mrs. Jules had made Miss Mush throw away the rest of the mushroom surprise, and she made Miss Mush promise never to make it again. "Okay, I'll have potato salad," said Joe. Miss Mush smiled. She scooped a large glop of potato salad out of the vat and plopped it on Joe's paper plate. Sherry was next in line. She had also forgotten her lunch. "And what would you like, Sherry?" asked Miss Mush. "What do you have?" asked Sherry. "Potato salad." "What else is there?" asked Sherry. "Nothing," said Miss Mush. "Okay," said Sherry, "I'll have that." "Potato salad?" asked Miss Mush. "No, nothing," said Sherry. Joe was the only one who ordered the potato salad. Everyone else ordered nothing. He slid his paper plate over to the cash register and paid for his lunch. Then he went to the ketchup and mustard table. He looked at the grayish mound on his plate. He thought it needed more color. He squirted squiggly lines of mustard all over his potato salad. Then he added several dollops of red ketchup. "That's very pretty, Joe," said Bebe. "I didn't know you were such a good artist." "Thanks," said Joe. He looked for a place to sit. "Hey, Joe, over here," called John. John sat next to him. "Hi, pal," he said. "Hi, good buddy," replied John. They were best friends. John had brought his lunch, and he looked at Joe's potato salad, covered with yellow squiggles and red polka dots. "That's very colorful," he said. "Thanks," said Joe. They both stared at it. "I wonder what it tastes like," said John. "Who knows," said Joe. "There's plenty more potato salad," called Miss Mush. "Who wants seconds?" Nobody wanted seconds of potato salad. Several kids went back for seconds of nothing, but soon Miss Mush ran out of nothing. Finally, Joe picked up his plastic fork and stuck it into the glop. "What does it feel like?" asked John. "Lumpy and gooey," said Joe. He dragged his fork over the mound, swirling the mustard and ketchup together. Kind of spongy, too. The colors mixed with the potato salad, turning a pale orange. "It looks like a face," said John. Joe laughed. He shaped it so it would look even more like a face. He piled up some potato salad in the center, giving it a nose. John had a plastic spoon. He dug out 2 holes for the eyes and then made eyebrows. "That's good," said Joe. He gave it a big, smiling mouth. John made long, pointy ears. They both laughed at their creation. "I wonder what it tastes like," said John. "Who knows?" said Joe. They stared at it. "It kind of looks familiar," said John, "like somebody I know." "Who?" asked Joe. "I'm not sure," said John. Joe noticed it too. "It does look familiar," he agreed. "I've seen that face somewhere before," said John. "Me too," said Joe. The smile on the potato salad abruptly turned into a frown. "Oh, wow, did you see that?" asked Joe. John's eyes filled with terror. I just figured out who it looks like," he whispered. "Who?" asked Joe. "Mrs. Gorf." The potato salad laughed. "Ha, ha, ha," said Mrs. Gorf. "Now I'll get you. You think you're so cute, don't you? Well, you won't get away from me this time." She wiggled her ears, first the right one, then her left. "Quick, Joe," said John. "Eat her." The 2 boys dug their plastic spoons into the potato salad and shoveled it into their mouths as fast as they could. Joe swallowed the final mouthful. "Phew," said John. "That was close." Joe rubbed his belly and sighed. They both stared at the empty plate. "You know, Joe," said John, "that didn't taste too bad." "It was pretty good," Joe agreed, and they went back for seconds. So I guess creating the face was not a good idea. Look at their faces. I love that. Okay, we're going to go ahead and read chapter 25. This one's called A Story That Isn't About Socks. A story that isn't about socks. Interesting picture. It was class picture day. The children were all dressed up in their best clothes. Stephen came to school wearing a 3-piece suit, gray pants, a gray vest, and a gray jacket. Underneath his vest was a white shirt and a red and gold striped tie. On his feet were hard, black, shiny shoes. He was very handsome. The other kids laughed when they saw him. "You've worn lots of silly costumes," said Bibi, "but this is your silliest one yet." Bibi was wearing yellow shorts, a red shirt with white polka dots, and a floppy green hat. Mrs. Jules rang her cowbell. "Settle down," she said. The children settled into their seats. Stephen remained standing. "Look at Stephen," said Mauricia. "His jacket is the same color as his pants." "They're supposed to be the same color," Stephen tried to explain. "It's a suit. And they're not called pants, they're called trousers." "Oh," said Mauricia. "Can you go swimming in your suit?" "No," said Stephen. I can go swimming in my suit," said Mauricia. "I'm sure Stephen's suit is good for other things," said Mrs. Jules. "It is," said Stephen. "Like what?" asked Todd. "Standing around and looking important," said Stephen. "What about sitting?" asked Todd. "No, I'm not supposed to sit," said Stephen. "The suit might get wrinkled. I'm just supposed to stand around and look important." "Oh," said Todd. Todd was wearing white shorts, a Hawaiian shirt, and sunglasses. Dee Dee crawled across the floor to Stephen so she could get a better look at his shoes. "They're so shiny," she said. "I can see myself." She knocked on one of the shoes with her fist. "Ooh, they're hard, too." "Dee Dee, get up," said Mrs. Jules. Dee Dee stood up. She had on a black t-shirt that came down to her knees. In the middle of the shirt was a red heart. Above the heart, in sparkling silver and gold letters, it said love. "I bet they're good for kickball, huh, Stephen?" she asked, "since they're so hard." "No," said Stephen, "I can't run in them, and they hurt my feet." "Then why do you wear them?" asked Dee Dee. "Because they're uncomfortable," Stephen explained. You have to wear uncomfortable shoes if you want to look important. Oh, said Dee Dee. What's that thing around your neck? Asked Paul. It's a tie, said Stephen. Does it keep your neck warm? Asked Paul. No, said Stephen. Does it hold your shirt on? Asked Paul. No, said Stephen. Well, what's it for? Asked Paul. It chokes me, said Stephen. Oh, said Paul. The more it chokes me, the better I look, Stephen explained. See? He tightened his tie. Oh, yeah, said Paul. You look real handsome. Paul was wearing cowboy and Indian pajamas. Stephen pulled his tie tighter. How do I look? He asked. Wow, you look great, said DJ. Pull it tighter. Stephen pulled his tie even tighter. How's this? He gasped. You look great and important, said DJ. DJ was wearing a toga made out of a bed sheet. Pull it tighter, said Phoebe. Stephen pulled on his tie. He could no longer breathe. Tighter, everyone yelled. Stephen pulled it even tighter. His eyes bulged and his nose turned blue. He had never been more handsome. Tighter, they all shouted. Stephen pulled his tie so hard that it ripped in half. Oh, the whole class groaned. Darn, said Stephen. Now I'm not great and important anymore. Yes, you are, Stephen, said Mrs. Jules. You're just as great and important as you ever were. I am? Stephen asked. Certainly, said Mrs. Jules. The tie didn't make you important. It doesn't matter what you wear on the outside. It's what's underneath that counts. Underneath? Asked Stephen. Yes, said Mrs. Jules. If you want to be great and important, you have to wear expensive underwear. Oh, said Stephen. Mrs. Jules had on a flowered tank top and a grass skirt. It's kind of odd how they dress for picture day, huh? A toga, which is just a bed sheet wrapped around you. A grass skirt on Mrs. Jules. Cowboy and Indian pajamas, which I thought was funny. One big t-shirt on Dee Dee with a heart in the middle. Hawaiian shirt and sunglasses Todd wore. But yet everybody thought Stephen looked silly in his suit and tie. That must be Mrs. Jules in her grass skirt. Almost like picture day is costume day for Wayside School. All right, so tomorrow when we read, we're going to read The Mean Mrs. Jules. Oh, I didn't know there was a Mean Mrs. Jules. Look at those ears. And 27 will be Lost and Found. Ah, I remember that chapter. It's a good one. All right, guys. Hope you enjoyed those two chapters, and I will talk to you tomorrow. Bye.